Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
We missed a week.
We did. We missed a week. Hold on, I'm making sure my recording is starting too, because unlike last time. Yep, there we go. It's good. And by the way, Jonathan Grady, this is for you, my friend.
Who the fuck is Jonathan Grady?
He's a guy who he comments on every single one of my videos.
He sounds like he plays football.
Every single one of them, and he says your inventory makes my eyes bleed, and you can get lava in the Nether. That's what he says on every single video. And the lava, I think it was when we were looking for lava for the walls in the pyramid. But he keeps commenting on all the videos the exact same comment, and it kind of makes me laugh every time. So I wanted to show him my disgusting inventory again, so his eyes bleed a little bit more.
Yeah,
got you, fucker. Yeah, no. So we missed a week, and it was funny because I was supposed to miss this week because I was supposed to be out of town at the conference.
Which conference was it again?
So it was HIMSS. It's health information or health informatics, like management something system. I don't remember what the entire acronym stands for. It's the organization that puts it on, but it was to go to this health informatics conference, and like my wife's supposed to go for her work. I was going. I had to pay my own way for mine. That's a whole different story in itself. But I ended up. Like my wife was determined it was going to be banned, and then banned. Excuse me. That gets into play. I'm just mixing up my words in the stories here. My wife was determined it was going to be canceled. She was going for her work, so her parents were going to go as well, not to the conference, but they were going to go because we were bringing the kids, since I was going to go for my work as well, and then we were just going to kind of make like a family trip out of it, like the last weekend, but nights and stuff. We were going to go hang out as like a family.
Where was it at?
Orlando.
Oh, cool.
So right where Extra Life United is going to be. So I was like, okay, well, apparently it's not getting canceled, and I don't remember the last time we did record. Had they announced the new keynote? Did we talk about this? So the week before the conference, the Monday before, I think it was, they announced a brand new keynote speaker.
Oh, really?
Mr. Donald Trump himself.
Oh.
Was going to speak at the conference. So that was basically them doubling down on their efforts that they were not canceling this thing. They were holding it, and it was moving forward. But they had all these vendors pulling out like left and right, like a lot of the big names in healthcare, as well as like the ones that are breaking it. Like Amazon was supposed to be there, and they pulled out. Then all these like healthcare companies like teletracking this and that, and they pulled out. And I kept looking at it thinking, I had to buy my own ticket for this thing. I say almost $1,000 for the week to go here. Thinking if all these major vendors are pulling out, isn't it kind of unfair that you're not going to give me like a partial, refund on this stuff? Because what if I was there specifically for some of these vendors and conferences and things like that?
Right.
So I was thinking that was kind of interesting, but didn't know what I was going to do. Well, on Wednesday, I get a call. I don't know where you're at. I'm going to sleep. I get a call from my boss who said, hey, I just got word that our lead person. So my company apparently is a partner with the HIMSS organization, and they get multiple free tickets to the event every year. I unfortunately, for somehow informatics folks weren't involved in these free tickets. I'm not really sure how that works, but I couldn't get a free one. I had to buy my own. But my boss is one of the ones who ended up getting one of the free ones at the upper level. And she called me and said, we were just told that, her boss canceled his registration and they expect everybody else to follow suit. And I was like, whoa, that's like, well, what the hell do you mean? He's like, well, we're being told that we are expected to not go at this point. And I said, well, you had your tickets paid for by someone else. Like, I'm going on my own. What does that mean for me?
Right.
She's like, that's why I'm calling you, because I don't know. She said, I have no idea. I want to get you in front of this as soon as I know, because I don't know what that means. So the next day I started talking to like my boss at my hospital and some of the higher ups at my hospital, and basically the word came down that all employees at my facility were banned from going to any international conferences or any conferences with a massive international presence because of the coronavirus stuff.
So you would have been banned from going to Extra Life United, right?
Sort of. So this is where it got really gray. It's technically for work events. And in theory, I wasn't going as a work event, though I was not taking vacation for it, but I was paying my own way to go. So that's where the lines get a little bit blurred. But they did make it sound like, yes, I should not go to something like Extra Life United. I would be banned from that as well. But yeah, I was told that I was banned. I was allowed to go to Orlando. I just could not step foot in the conference.
That's weird.
So then I worked it out with my boss that I was going to go to Orlando and work from the hotel and cancel my ticket. And my company was trying to find a way to get me, because it's non-refundable tickets. They were going to try to find a way to see if they could get my money refunded somehow, because they were the ones stopping me from going. So that was good that they were trying to, do that.
Right.
And but I had it all worked out that all of a sudden I'm still going to Orlando. I'm allowed to go there. I was not allowed to partake in anything the conference related. I'm not allowed to go to out with groups from conference people, but I can go and hang out in Orlando. And then the next day, because then my wife was still supposed to go because her work was still expecting her to be there for the conference. And then they canceled the entire event on Thursday. So we were supposed to leave on Sunday.
Okay.
And on Thursday, they canceled the entire event at the last minute. I think they were getting so many companies and organizations pulled out that they knew it was just irresponsible of them to do this. For one, with the given circumstances of everything and the uncertainty of it all and the massive international presence it was going to be, and who knows what it was going to turn into, because it was everybody leaving. And then it was really funny to read the FAQ on the page. So it made it easier because we got a lot more of stuff refunded for free. Well, granted, I'm supposed to get my ticket refunded. It hasn't happened yet, but it's supposed to happen. There's an FAQ on their page about why they waited until the last minute, and the second question on the FAQ was something along the lines of, so does this mean that the HIMSS organization does not agree with Donald Trump's assessment of the situation? Was the FAQ, which I thought was pretty funny. And of course, it was just a very political answer. It was we have to wait a lot of decisions surrounding the canceling of this event and all. So, needless to say, that whole event got canceled. That's why I'm still here this week, because I was not allowed to go. But yeah, right now, officially, I would not have been allowed to go to Extra Life United as it stands. They said that anybody who, personal travel, and this is, like I said, where it gets really weird, because if I was going and taking vacation to go to a conference, they can't technically stop you.
Right.
But they can not allow you to come back to work for the 14-day.
They can quarantine you basically.
Period. But then there's a big question on, is that paid? If I go somewhere on personal travel, you were speaking of a specific thing that I'm sure would be very against our personal travel policy. If I were to go on a cruise, would I get paid from not being able to come back to work for 2 weeks?
Probably not, right?
I don't know the answer to that. That's where it gets into a really interesting situation. We're actually just in an interesting situation in general, because there's so many companies. I just threw away a bunch of seeds in. But there's so many companies right now who are, having employees do work from home because they're trying to keep their workforce healthy and limit exposure risk. And I've been asking questions and nobody seems to have the right answer at my organization yet. Hopefully they're working on it, and hopefully by the time this video comes out, we have a plan, because I kind of want to know. I'm trying to plan for my team. We're considered what's considered an essential employee, even though people always question why the hell would you be an essential employee? You're an informatics person. We're essential. All leadership is considered essential because we can step in and help in the event of mass casualty situations in something, whereas the workforce cannot properly show up to work for some reason. I've had to stay at the hospital before overnight for the whole weekend during the snowstorm that happened in DC a couple of years ago. That. Yeah, because they didn't know if enough people were going to be able to make it in, and we were expected to be able to step in and help take care of patients in any way, shape, or form. And I get that. I completely understand that. So that's why we're on the essential category. That's the explanation of that, as opposed to it's got the informaticists. They're the ones who need to be there. All of a sudden, we couldn't function without them. It's not like that.
Right.
It's from a different perspective. But I started asking the questions of, and it got all misconstrued, and I guess in the way I asked it, I'm not really sure, or I think it really is that they didn't start planning for it in a way that they needed to, and I hopefully have opened up their eyes to. But I said, we're considered these essential employees. However, what like this is a whole different situation than any other situation before. If we go down a route of deciding that we have to have more of the workforce work from home in order to limit exposures to keep for a healthy workforce, like where do we fall on that? Because usually the essential employees are the ones that you say you have to be here on site at all times in case something happens.
Right.
That's what. And so I asked the question, and I guess I asked it to somebody who didn't understand what I was asking, and she's like, I don't know. This was one of my bosses, and she's like, I don't know. I will raise it up the chain. It's a little unclear. And she just basically responded back with, yes, your department's essential. And I was like, that. So apparently, though, this conversation that I had went all the way up to like very high levels. Our organization, which is good and bad. It's bad because I think it went up in a way where people are like, why the hell does he not think that his people are essential employees? Like, is he trying to skirt out of something? When that was not the intent. My intent was straight up from a disaster preparedness, emergency preparedness perspective of planning. Because here's the deal. If you're trying to keep your workforce healthy, it could be for the fact that we might have to step in when a lot of the workforce is unhealthy or there's an influx of patients, if heaven forbid that happens.
Right.
You don't want people exposed the entire time because you might have to call on them. But if you exposed everybody, you have nobody.
Like you should have like set groups, basically. Like these people are working from home, and then like the B team or whatever, basically.
Exactly, and that's exactly the point I was trying to make. And I think it got completely misconstrued and misunderstood. I think partially because they haven't been thinking about it in that way. They've been thinking about it from the plan that we've always had before. We have an event. We know there's a snowstorm coming. All essential employees be on site at all times. We will release you when it's over.
Right.
It's a different situation than we're dealing with COVID. Hopefully, it turns into nothing, but you never know. It could turn into something.
Do you have fireworks by chance?
Yes. Where you at? So I'm trying to still get answers on this, but it's funny because I brought it up to some of my director colleagues from across the system who all agree with where I'm going with this, and they completely understand what I'm saying. But it's funny because you can tell so let me ask you this, and it doesn't blow my mind, but it shows the state of where people are at because it's such kind of uncharted territory with this. One of the people was like, yes, I know here I've been trying to have my employees make sure that we're trying to limit ourselves being on campus as much as possible. She's like, I'm letting a lot of my people work from home and keeping a minimum amount of people on site at all times, just in case, just to like kind of make it easier, makes people feel better. We can completely work remotely. Like it's not, we can still do 100% of our work remotely. Like, well, I could say 100%. Some people might need to be there to fix certain problems, but a lot of the work we can do remotely. And I said, that's, we've been talking about that at my department as well. I said, let me ask you something. Do you have the same people working in the office at all times? Well, no, we rotate it out.
Oh, God.
Well, that doesn't help you any then. Like, you're still in the same situation of having that same quote-unquote exposure risk if that's what you're doing it for. If you're trying to risk exposure, you can't rotate your people.
What'd they say?
She kind of just stopped. It goes, oh. Like, wow, I never thought of that because it's just weird territory. And we're not like disaster prepared. We're not emergency preparedness people. Like, this is not our gig. There's specific degrees in emergency preparedness and disaster management. And that's like the next degree I'm going to get is going to be in that if I ever go back to college. Because I love emergency preparedness stuff. And that's why maybe I think about it from a different perspective because I'm on a lot of emergency preparedness committees and stuff at my hospital, and it's because I'm like fascinated by some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like there's just a lack of the thinking, and from the system level leadership perspective, even if there's not a lack of thinking, like maybe they're thinking about it, there's a lack of communication on this plan because the problem we run into is if you decide that you're all of a sudden like, wow, the risk all of a sudden got too big, we're implementing something to risk exposure. You don't gradually build up to it. You're like implementing it. So I'm just trying to get squared away. And that's the whole point is what is the plan? So I am ready to implement if need be. for my team, and nobody can give it to me yet. While some people think I just look like I don't care, and I trying to weasel out of
right. I just don't want to work. Really, can I just go home?
Which is absolutely not what this is at all. And luckily, my boss, when she understood, like, because it was funny because it came up on a phone call today, and I didn't know that I had gotten up to her level. It came up on a system level phone call, like, Jeff, the question that you asked to answer, like, yeah, we are essential employees, and I was like, let me explain what I'm trying to portray, and then she understood it, and then took it back to like her boss, and she's like, it made it very clear on what I was really trying to do. So I'm hopefully like not just I don't know, it's a weird
fire you.
But you were telling me that you're not scared at all.
I'm not worried about it. No. I mean, everything I feel like the majority of Americans are going to get it. I don't feel like we have systems in place to, like, the countries that have stopped the spread are,
mass testing for one.
Well, yes, but the only country that has actually seemed to stop the spread is the totalitarian country of China, because they've told everyone you must go in your house and stay in your house. And I read about that. I was curious, like, what is that? What is that like? And like, I mean, they're also a communist country, so like, you know, they told everyone to go in their house and not leave. There's police. If you leave your house, like, you're going to probably prison or death or something. Who knows?
Are the police supposed to be in their house?
No. I mean, they're the only ones allowed out is to watch, to make sure no one's leaving their house. They're delivering food to everyone's house and picking up the waste and stuff like that. So they're making sure everyone, you can like go, everyone has, there's the website they've created where everyone in China goes and orders what food they want each week from a list of food that's available, and they're delivering it to people's houses and stuff. We ain't got nothing like that. We couldn't even begin to do something like that. And Italy's the second country I mean, they're not the same as China, and that they're, you know, the word apparently I cannot fucking say.
Totalitarian?
Yes. And communist, but Italy's done the same thing where, you know, you're not allowed to leave your house. So that's not something that can happen in America, period. It's not going to happen. There's no chance of it happening. Just that's like the bottom line as far as I'm concerned. So to me, I think that it's something that's going to spread throughout America. What?
Have you been down here?
Hey, Guano, saw the vid that Jeff can fix bidets. Decided to drop mine by to see if he knows what's wrong. Good luck. Let me know if you can crack it. Tall. What the hell? There's a whole toilet down here. Oh, God,
it's a bidet. Toilet. It's a bidet.
Well, it's a toilet with a bidet, right?
This might be just a bidet. I don't know.
Oh, I guess they do make them where it's just. Oh, there's shit coming out the back, man.
Oh no, that's what's wrong with it. All you found is problem. Oh yeah, there it is. That's definitely what's wrong with it.
Oh, there's turds everywhere in here. Oh, the beacon's been cut off. There's too many turds in the way.
Oh, is the beacon actually cut off?
Yeah. Oh, really Jesus Christ.
Giant toilets.
He tweeted me yesterday and asked me when we were playing again, and I completely forgot. Like, I thought then, like, oh, well, he's done something. But then I forgot completely about that. Jesus. This is your mess. You're the bidet boy.
I think I like it.
But yeah, the way I see it, like, because we were talking about, I mean, God, what this is just your mess. You're responsible. Like how we have this giant area, just perfect for a toilet to be made.
Perfect for bidets.
That's funny. I'm glad you walked over here because I totally forgot about his tweet. I wasn't even looking for anything. Been pranked.
I mean, too bad he didn't say it was like the first curse of impotent.
I would have liked that a lot, actually. I'm upset he did not do that. But, I mean, everything I've read about the virus basically shows that people our age are dying from it. We're getting a cold, basically. We're spreading it to the elderly and we're killing them. But the people dying are the elderly. Like kids and people our age are pretty much safe unless you have some other kind of condition that puts you at higher risk from these sort of things. Is that not the same thing that you've been seeing as a medical
No,
professional?
it's the same thing I've been seeing. But I think we don't know enough about it yet. Is the problem? Like, I don't think they know why it's not affecting the young. Because I think it like doesn't affect the young. It seems it's not even that it doesn't like they don't get it. Like kids, just or it's not like it doesn't kill them. I mean, but like kids, I just don't think get it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they don't get it or see that's the problem with the whole lack of testing is it's not clear if they're not getting it or if they're showing no signs and still transmitting it.
True, and but that is where it gets very, very difficult because it really is this unknown water of what this thing is, because it could turn out to be like, clearly we know it can be deadly because a lot of people have died from it, but it could very easily turn into very similar to the flu. We come up with a simple, I can't say it's simple per se, but for the sake of speaking, some simple like vaccine or some medication like Tamiflu or whatever for when you get it, and like it makes it relatively, can't say harmless because the flu still kills, a lot of people, but something that we just, oh yeah, fucking COVID again, whatever, like no big
Right.
deal. It's COVID season, but we just don't know at this point. And I'll be honest, I'm less worried about it for myself. I'm more worried about it if it keeps spreading and just becomes a mass event in America.
Oh, I think it will. I absolutely
Well,
1000% think it will.
and that's where I think we run into some problems and concerns, especially somebody like me in the industry that I'm in.
Why?
I'm in the medical industry. I think it's going to cause problems. It's with the inability to handle it properly. The
Oh yeah,
inability
a lot of old people are gonna die.
yeah, and that's where I think it's going to be a little more scary to deal with.
I don't think there's anything we can do about it though. Like, I don't know if that makes me heartless or what, but I don't think we can rapidly enough assess the situation and address the situation. Our infrastructure is not made to address this type of situation, and I don't think that we can.
You don't think we can build 1,000-bed hospital in 10 days?
I mean, 1,000-bed hospital isn't nothing compared. I mean, that's how many people have it right now.
I just can't
that we
believe
have
they did
tested
that in
too.
China.
I believe thousands of people have it in America right now.
There, I fixed the clog in the back, or the leak in the back.
Oh, you fixed it. It's all done. Still looks like it's got.
I tested it, made sure it worked.
There's still water everywhere, Jeff.
I just took the poop out.
The poop is up front now.
I put the poop where it belongs, in the bowl.
Is that where it belongs?
In the bowl.
I think it's supposed to go get flushed away. I'm surprised. Like, I understand that kids aren't getting it, but I'm kind of surprised no kids are getting it. Like, I would think like newborns would be just as susceptible as.
Well, right, and that's why I think the whole thing is just so weird that we don't know enough about it yet to definitively say is or is not going to.
But that's not happened. There's been no newborns that have died from this.
It's there's been none that have it, as far as we know. And I even think I think we're talking even in those countries that are doing the rapid testing. I don't think.
Well, they're only testing people that show signs, and so, like I said, I don't think kids are showing any type of sign of having it, so they're not being tested. I bet you they're either carrying it or they just can't get it. One or the other. Did you notice this thing has controls and everything over here too?
I saw the controls.
Very good. Very good. I don't know. I am worried about it because I do think that it's a thing that is going to kill a lot of people. I think like my grandmother, for example. I mean, my grandmother has welcomed it, but she's been welcoming anything that's going to kill her for a while now. So in her case, it's not a big deal as far as she's concerned. But a lot of people aren't the same as her and 93 and ready to go. But I do think. I mean, I would not be surprised if this is like the thing that gets my grandma basically. Because she's 93. If she does catch it, I don't think there's any helping her, sort of thing. At least that's what it seems like based on everything I've seen and read.
The beacon's back on.
But I'm kind of interested in what that means for even like things like the presidential race. Like,
Oh God, it's just an excuse to not have one.
well, sure. I mean, sure. That's possible. National state of emergency could be declared by November and say that we can't hold elections because of the health risk. But I'm more thinking like, I mean, at this point, it's pretty much down to two senile men. And the three that were in it are all in the age range where they're going to die.
They both get COVID.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what happens if Trump and Biden and Bernie, for that matter, all get the coronavirus? Like, they just die.
Biden, excuse me, and Trump still doesn't even seem to think it's going to be a big deal. Like
I don't agree. I think he thinks it's going to be a big deal. I just think he's terrified because the only thing that he has going for his reelection is the stock market. That's the only thing he's ever talks about. Look at the stock market.
And you think this all goes back to the stock market? For
absolutely, 100,000%. Because that's why he's talking about these tax cuts and stuff. He's trying to do everything he can to save the economy side of things while the stock market is crashing. Like these tax cuts that he's talking about. Yeah, everyone I know that it doesn't, for one thing, that doesn't really want to even vote Republican, and I've talked to them about the election, they just refer to their 401k. Well, my 401k is doing really good, so I mean, I'm kind of scared to change up, the who's in power right now. 401k is so high. But we're right now back to 2008 levels of 401k. So I talked to a friend of my brother yesterday actually, and asked him, because he's one of the people that I talked to recently about this. And they were like, well, I mean, it doesn't look like my 401k is really doesn't really matter much now, does it? So yes, I do think that voters, there's a lot of voters that are making their decision based on how they perceive the economy. And I think Trump knows that that's one of the things he's got in his he can look at it, he can point at it and say, look how good the stock market's doing. It's highest ever been.
Yeah, because right now it is bad because just like many other Americans, my entire retirement is based on my 401k, and all I'm doing is looking at it saying, well, I might not ever be able to retire.
Right.
A long ways to go, but at the same time, I'm pretty confident it's going to bounce back. I honestly think in the next month, I really should look into investing and just drop like 10 grand into something in the stock market, like for a short-term gain, because I have a feeling it's going to turn around in the next like 2 years. I think we're going to turn back around. I think it's a good time to buy into something, but I've never been able to. I never have done that in the stock market before.
Right. I mean, you should probably wait till it gets to where it's going. Where you start.
Well, that's what I said. I think in the next like month or two is where we're gonna, because I think as the COVID thing slows down, granted the whole oil thing is like happening too now, with related or not, who knows? But I mean, somebody knows.
Somebody knows.
Well, that OPEC deal or whatever fell through, which really decimated the oil prices in the midst of all this.
Right.
So it's like a secondary thing, but it's probably also related in some way, shape, or form on why the decisions were made the way that they were.
Yeah, I believe so.
So,
but yeah, I mean, you brought up this cruise. Like, actually, you know what? We're out of time. We'll have to talk about it next episode.
All right, guys. There's a cruise. Ted Cruz.
He won all the states. Next president.